Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hard at Work. I'm doing an impactful series podcast, and really it is about making a creative, impactful legacy for your business. And I always like to bring in some wonderful speakers, some unique speakers about talking about how you can do that. And it's all related to the workplace culture. So welcome, Dara.
Thank you.
So I have Dara on the call with me today, and I'm going to let her tell you what she does, and because I always find most people can tell what they do better than the speaker or the interviewer. But I met Dara actually on Alignable, and we were just having this pre-conversation about what she does, and I was thinking, isn't it cool to be a bully buster? You know, you have Ghostbusters, why not bully busters? And so the idea came to me, and somebody said, "Oh, you mean that's a Halloween gig?" And I went, "No." So I was so glad I got to see Dara, that she is the America's best bully buster. So welcome, Dara, and please tell us a little bit what you do and how'd you get into doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Mari-Lyn. Happy to be on today. It is work that I do and I'm so passionate about. I work with women to speak up to bullies and prevent abusers and predators. And it's actually a really interesting story how I started, because I was a black belt in martial arts and I had been teaching martial arts for many years. I was the person responsible for training women on sexual assault prevention and self-defense. They hired me in my studio as the head instructor. And I was doing this work for years, and what happened was I started getting really frustrated, because here we learned all these physical skills, but then when I would go off into my day, I myself didn't feel prepared.
Right.
For example, I had a male colleague at work that would just one day, I didn't even know him that well. He just walked up to me, pushed me against the wall in his office and tried to kiss me. And I was like, well, what do I do here? This isn't like a back sidekick situation. And then I had a female boss a few years later that was bullying me at meetings. And there was all this situational stuff that I was really frustrated that nobody prepared me for. And I had all this self-defense training, and I was the so-called physical defense expert, but what do we do besides somebody jumping you, which is very rare, by the way. And
right.
So I created a program in 2004 called Curricula to offer workshops with women to give them practical skills of all the before of how to prevent these day-to-day situations, whether it's the bully in your family or your spouse could be the bully, or at work, whoever it is. It's because what people often don't realize is that up to 93% of the time, the person hurting you is someone you know,
right.
which happens to also be the name of my book, because I want to break the stereotype of the scary guy in the hood behind the bushes coming at you. It's the people we know that we need to learn how to speak up to or prevent if we can.
I wonder if you can explain to us, the audience, what is a bully? I think there's a lot of things that people just say, well, he just called me a bad name, so he's a bully, but doesn't mean that he's a bully. It's just, whatever, he just, his behavior or his language skills are lack. So maybe, can you maybe just talk about a little bit about what is a bully and what are the most common kinds?
Sure. I mean, today we hear so often people that are getting hurt. We think of our kids going off to school and they're coming home and they're traumatized, and often it's thrown under, oh, they're only teasing, or, we throw around words like that, and it's really not okay. The way that I define it, and the way bullies technically are defined, is if it hurts the person involved and they feel that they were harassed or mistreated, then yes, they were bullied. And it's, people, that doesn't mean people can't ever joke around, but if it is, you see the person is hurt and this is going on more than once, and there definitely is a malintent, then it crosses over from teasing to bullying. And I talk about all that in my book, and it's so frustrating to me, because there's so many situations where, whether you're at work or at school, it's dismissed because people don't want to address the real issue.
Right.
And you're right, there are different types of bullies. in just a quick little synopsis, I would say there's the bully who feels threatened by you, and that happens often when we're younger. They want to fight you, they want to compete with you. And then there's the bully who wants to be like you, which is an interesting one. And then there's just the angry person who's just angry at everybody, and they're just taking it out on whoever they can. And those are actually the hardest to handle, because it's really, they need to do the work themselves. But yeah, bullying is not okay wherever it comes from or whomever it comes from. And if you are a person that's being victimized by a bully, don't let people dismiss it and say, oh, it was only teasing, or that was a one-time thing. Because if it hurts you, then you are right to feel that you were bullied.
Right, right. And so with that kind of idea, because I know I was bullied a lot as a kid, and I used to ask my mom or tell my mom, and she's, oh, just ignore it. And I'm like, well, it's a little hard to ignore, when you have 4 or 5 of them coming at you. And yet teachers weren't doing anything about it. Oh, like you were saying, they just like to tease you. And so, I mean, teasing is one thing, but like you were saying, then it gets to be a point where you're going home crying, right? So, so that it's gone beyond the teasing part of it. So when you're in a workplace, what are some of the obstacles that maybe employers need to look at, or they're not looking at, that they need to spend more time and attention at?
Well, this is something where it really is important for the employer to really vet who they're hiring. And there's questions you can ask that are more than just, what is your work experience or degree? But how do you work in a team? How would you handle somebody who wants to pressure you for a project or take away your control in a meeting? And it kind of just gives you a little taste of their personality, and there's a little bit more tact in how we can screen out people's personality, because some of them are very good. Obviously, people that are bullies or abusers, they can be very charming and play the game well, but they often will leak out situations, and you have to ask the right questions to get it out of them. Yeah.
So what would be a couple of questions that, it would help somebody to ask?
Let's see. I would give them a situation where they feel stressed, like they're at a hard deadline. They're asked to work extra hours. They have to miss their kid's soccer game, and then their boss just threw another project on them. And just give them a realistic situation of what would happen in their day at that specific workplace, and just let them feel out what they would go through, of how they would handle it. And we're looking for little clues of, if they think that's unacceptable, they would put, because here's what I'm getting at. If people who are asked, if you say to somebody you want to hire, tell me about yourself, and that person brags about the awards they've won, or the college they went to, or how much money they've made their last company, or things that I did, it tells you it's a very self-centered person. As opposed to if you say, tell me about you, and just stop talking as the interviewer, and then they talk about, my kids, my family, the shelter I volunteer at, things that are really altruistic in nature and helping other people and putting relationships first. Now you have a little insight. So it's just little psychological ways of getting to know. And there's lots of other things, but that's just kind of a general way to feel out where they're at and what their priorities are.
Yeah. And so obviously, I think this problem is going to get bigger unless it's addressed, obviously. So what do you think some examples or stories or success stories you've had of working with people? Has it been mostly workplaces, or who do you mostly work with?
Well, I mostly work with women when I do my speaking engagements or workshops or private coaching, but I will take on a few men for private coaching, because I just had a man the other day. He he's just so frustrated. He's bullied at work, and there's a different tactic to handling bullies at work than just go report to HR. Because oftentimes, what is HR going to do? They're going to turn and just go talk to your boss, and now you're in this weird little circle. So there's a very precise set of tools of how I work with people on that. And the reason I got into this work is because it's important to learn how to identify an unhealthy relationship from the get-go, whether it's the person you work with or live with or whomever, because if you don't resolve it, then it just keeps escalating, and that's how it turns in sometimes more emotionally or physically abusive or worse. And we're trying to recognize danger signs of unhealthy people so we can prevent them.
Right.
And so a lot of people do deal with bullies at work, but honestly, a majority of the women I'm work coaching right now and working with, it's people that they live with and are in personal relationships and I need to solve that first for them, so then they can go out and then apply it to the extensions, like who they work with and their friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, because if you are able to protect yourself, then it's a lot easier to be in another situation where you know what you need to do to protect yourself, things you can say to yourself. It's all about self-reflection, right? Whatever's on with is going
exactly
up and out there, you know, whether it's a workplace or in your community or whatever, right? So,
well, because the bully, you're right, is looking for someone to target. They don't target everybody, remember. They're looking for, and so there's ways we can project ourselves, not just by what we say, but our body language and everything. I work with how to position yourself, whether you're in a meeting, how to interject, because a lot of times women will say, I can't even get a word in. The men just keep cutting me off. We do all these role plays and different. So I really am big on practical, hands-on, everyday tools that you can learn, and not these crazy out there. And I realized that's what got me so passionate about this work, is because who else is teaching you how to do this? We don't learn these skills. And it's so important. And well,
I think it's because our parents don't know what, like my mother didn't know what to say, so she would just say, oh, just ignore them. And you know, really in hindsight that I look back, is my father is probably the biggest bully. But you know, like you're saying, you're in that situation, and then you know, what does the wife do, the child, and you know, they just don't have anywhere to go or how to, you know, communicate to each other more effectively, right? So just given that example, what would you suggest that as a child or as a mother, what would she would do or say to have more ease or calmness in the home? Just give us a couple of ideas.
Calmness in the home? Well, we have to be communicating with your child about what's going on with your day. And I have 2 kids, and it's hard to do as they get a little bit older and into the teen years, but you have to find ways to connect and do the best you can to know their friends. But when you were talking before about the advice your parents gave you was to ignore it, that works when they're really young, like preschool age, because they don't have the communication skills to be able to speak up to the bully. And that's where the parents really do need to get involved. And if that's the case, one piece of advice I would give is that, because I've had to do this, because I'm the bully buster, I've had to do this on my own.
That's why we're talking to you.
It's real. It's real for me too, where you have to approach the other parent, and you want to approach and find a common ground. Because if you just come off with, I'm, angry at you because your child did this, now you just close the door. They're not open to anything you say. So you have to find common ground. And the way I would do that is talk about how great our kids love the preschool and isn't this wonderful. You're slowly getting in. You want to get the in so they're open to the conversation. And then you do your I feel statement. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
But I feel my child has been coming home upset, and it's not placing blame, but we're taking it from our point of view, and we're giving them a chance to see if they can help us resolve the problem together. We're not going to say your son Joey is an awful kid and go home and deal with that, but we need to find a way. What can we do together to make this work? And when we do that, people are more open to it. And we want our kids, obviously, to come to us and tell us what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing wrong, especially with younger ones. Check in with the teachers. Ask them, is my kid involved, and how are they communicating? And because they know too. They're all with them all day, and don't be afraid to get involved a little bit more as parents.
Right, right. Well, maybe they're, as little kids though, that they may be behaviorally fine. It's just when they get to a public arena or a school that they turn differently, right? So
Right. But oftentimes the bully at school, the reason why they bully is because they come from an authoritative home where the parents yell at each other or yell at the child, so the kid thinks nothing of passing that behavior on to somebody else.
Right.
So it's very important how we're setting the tone in our family and creating, like you said, the calmness and the way we speak to our children and the way we listen to what they're saying. And it's really just finding that connection, just with the same thing, how we approach the parent, the same way we would approach our kid, of getting down to their level, finding a way to not, because oftentimes moms will just want to jump in and correct it, like, you did what? Because that's easy to do.
Yeah.
Instead of listening, hearing, and all we have to do is listen and close our mouth and stop talking. And kids will talk more if we do that.
Yeah.
And instead of, how was your day? And just leave it, was your day good? Don't give them that yes or no.
Yeah.
How was your day? Did you make a new friend today? Ask open-ended questions and let them talk and give them a chance to really explain what's going on. We play a little game in our house at dinner time where, what is the high and low of your day? And everybody goes around, and it just gives you a quick little insight of what's going on, and it works. They do it.
Yeah. Well, good. That's a great tip, a great idea. Like, even, I guess, at the end of the day, I don't know if you could do that at work, but I'm sure that there are some people that need somebody to talk to. And so that's a great way to do it too, as in a group work, right?
Yeah, just getting involved and really listening. We don't listen enough, and everybody's so ready to jump in with their next statement or their next opinion, or that happened to you. Well, guess what happened to me? Well, yeah. Why don't we just, we're always trying to outdo each other. And if we could just listen, and what I find really works, especially with kids, is trying to get yourself back to that age, whatever age they are, and go, yeah, I remember going through something similar like that too. And here's what helped me, and just kind of really slowing down to the moment. And of course, easier said than done, but well, it's a process. Yeah,
because I guess everybody's busy, and so it's easy to forget having those conversations. But like you were saying, at the dinner table, just go around the table and say, what was your high day or low point, or what's that type of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. It doesn't have to be a long thing. And a lot of times, especially when you get into the tween years and teens, kids aren't developed yet on making eye contact with adults. That's actually really hard for them, and parents don't understand that. And there's so many parents that I find that are so regiment on this. They'll say, look at me when I talk to you. But they don't realize that's hard for kids to do. That's why it works really well if you're driving, have a conversation. Your kids will open up to you. Take a drive or watch a sporting event together. If you sit parallel, there's no pressure. It takes that pressure off of them of, like, I'm going to be judged, or I know if I say this, mom's going to get mad. It really does make a difference. And it's kind of, this may be a good segue, because a few years ago, I put together a game called Jerky Johnny, where it's role-playing cards, and a lot of moms have their kids read it while they're driving, and then it starts a dialogue. Right. And if you're facing especially you're doing this with the teen girl, and you're like, I'm going to sit down and play this game with you, she's going to roll her eyes and be like, no way, Mom, I'm not going to do that. But if you find a way to gently work it in, they do want to talk. They still need us to tell us about, how to handle these years, but they don't always want to come out and ask for help. And that's why I just did a workshop the other day where it was I do mom and daughter workshops, and I was trying to teach the moms how to approach, you're cooking and she's standing around. She's kind of like, she wants to engage, but maybe you're having a mom moment, right? Where nobody feeds the dog and you're screaming and you're doing your thing and she's standing around. She wants to engage. So include her. Hey, honey, can you grab a spoon? Let's stir the soup together. And then we're talking and we're not, it's just, we're finding ways to connect with them.
Right. So tell us, what you said you like to work with women, mostly women. And how would we know that somebody needs your help?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, if you're somebody who really finds it hard to speak up in relationships or at work, or you feel really drained, your energy is just drained after you spend time around people, it doesn't have to be that way. We want to help build healthy relationships. So if you find it hard to say no or assert yourself, a lot of women I work with find me that way. What I do is a lot of prevention. Obviously, if you're somebody who's been traumatized, I'm not the right person, please call a therapist. But if you want prevention because I work with girls from 10 through teen and college age, your daughter needs some help on either sexual assault prevention or how to prevent bullies. If that's a pattern, because oftentimes it works with patterns of people you date, who are really dating unhealthy partners, then you know that it's time to get a little bit of help in it. My workshops are really fun. It's not intimidating. People usually leave going, wow, I had no idea it was going to be that fun, because you're scared. You don't know what you're coming into. And so it's.
Yeah. So it sounds like the kind of services you provide are a lot of workshop stuff more than.
I do a little bit of everything. So my number one is speaking engagements at different conferences or schools, or if you have a women's office group that would like a speaker. I do workshops for women only. I do workshops for moms and daughters, or private workshops where I'll even come to your home and do a 2-hour workshop. That's actually a really big part of my business as well. Is it's I'm a group of maybe 20 college girls that are going off, or preteen girls that need help before they enter the middle school dating scene, and I'll come and do that. And then, of course, one-on-one coaching if somebody lives far away from me, and I'll offer that wherever you live.
Okay, great. So you'll be able to find Dara's information on the podcast, and it's over at podcast.heartatworkonline.org. And she'll have a page there, and all her information will be there. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us, and I'll pass them along, or maybe we'll have Dara come on and do another call, and we can do a Q&A. So anyway, thank you for joining us today, and so appreciate your information that you shared with us, Dara. I think it is so important. If you think of anything else that you would like to share, just send it over to me. And anyway, but thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a happy, what is it today? A Thursday. Happy Thursday. Don't forget, time to yourself today. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much, Mari-Lyn.
You're welcome. Okay, bye-bye.